to the Recursion Cafe, where we play games from the discard pile. In today's game of Unmatched, we have Tahmid on the left and Sunzida on the right. Tahmid is playing Bloody Mary, a solo 3-move fighter with 16 health who is melee. At the start of her turn, if she has exactly 3 cards in hand, she can gain an action. And a lot of her cards play with the number 3 because of the legend surrounding her name. Sunzida is playing Ms. Marvel, another solo fighter with 2 movement, although not really, 14 health, and is also melee, but again, not really. At the start of her turn, she can move exactly 1 space if she wishes, and she can attack from up to 2 spaces away. So if she wanted to, she can kind of hit you from 4 spaces away by hopping, moving, and then stretching over to hit you. Speaking of which, here we have an attack from Sunzida 2 spaces away, making full use of that against a melee enemy. And it's a momentous shift for 5 value into a Trick of the Light boosted by that item. So Bloody Mary will get to hop over to Ms. Marvel and will only take 1 damage. So really aggressive opening there from Sunzida, just testing the waters with a momentous shift at range. Tahmid will use the laser turret to fire at Ms. Marvel for 2 damage straight away, bringing health total down to 12, 15 to 12, but it's still early days. And then Bloody Mary will maneuver away and stand by the other +2 item. Ms. Marvel will take a hop, and is the first action going to be attack? It will, and there is, again, the item usage is an embiggen into a feint at 4 value, so it's a full defense there because embiggen will not trigger. So far Tahmid is using those battlefield items really effectively, getting +4 defense so far and getting 2 auto damage into Ms. Marvel. Ms. Marvel will then back off, and Bloody Mary will then turn the tables and pursue. So here's an attack, and it is a Bloody Requiem double attack into an easy peasy. So the initial attack is fully defended, and Sunzida can draw a card and will deal 1 damage back to Bloody Mary. But then she will have to defend a Bloody Reprise, which is the value of the card she defended with, so it's another 3. And Sunzida will defend with another easy peasy and draw another card and ping another damage. So nice double attack there, but ultimately I think it did more harm than good. And Sunzida still hasn't gone down in cards because she drew a card for each of those defenses. So Ms. Marvel will take a step back and attack. From range, it is an I'm not touching you outside of the zone, so Ms. Marvel will get to draw 2 cards. And Tahmid defends with an evade, will also get to draw a card. It feels like both players are skirmishing very effectively and both keeping up cards in hand to be able to keep that momentum going. Here's a big wind-up into another evade, and it's a super big wind-up because Sunzida is boosting with friends and family for a full 8 value attack into 3, putting Bloody Mary down to 7 health. That is the only one-off copy of that scheme in Ms. Marvel's deck, but with the amount of cards that she naturally draws, I don't think she greatly needed that at the moment anyway. So a 4 boost is always pretty handy to hit for 8. Here is a Stolen Memories from Tahmid. He'll get to look at the opponent's hand and choose a card. The opponent then has to discard it, or they take the damage of the boost value. So here is a Fangirl. It's only a 2 value card, and it's an attack that requires other cards in hand, so Sunzida will just discard that. I think that's a pretty curious choice and gives us maybe some insight into what else is in Sunzida's hand. Here's another momentous shift into a Broken Glass, managing to punch above the ability of Broken Glass. I assume Tahmid will bump it up, so only 1 damage goes through, but it still negates the ability of pretty much, I think, the best card in Bloody Mary's deck. So there's that as well. Nicely played by Sunzida there. And Bloody Mary just takes a couple of cards and stands just out of range, although Ms. Marvel can always hop back in. But decides instead to walk away and play Gyro and Fries. I believe it'll just be the health gain there and no action gain because Sunzida only has 3 cards left in hand. If only she was playing Bloody Mary instead. So Tahmid will maneuver. Will he go on the offense and join her in the middle of the map? He will, and here's an attack for the second action. It is another Bloody Requiem double attack into Slingshot. So Ms. Marvel will get to bounce herself anywhere else on the map, but due to the rules of double attacks, the second attack will still go through even though Ms. Marvel is not there. I'm still not entirely sure about that ruling. It feels like it goes against the theme of the game. Like if you are able to move outside of the range of that attack, second attack, maybe it shouldn't go through. If you have any thoughts on that, do let me know in the comments below. So it looks like Ms. Marvel is kind of low on cards, contrary to what I said earlier, and is deciding whether or not to re-engage or just kind of hop away. She could have stood by the battlefield item to get the +1, but it looks like she'll kind of stand around instead in the middle of the map, and so she will take another Bloody Requiem, the third one, the last one, into an Embiggen. So the first one is properly defended, and the second one is a 3 value because it's the printed value of Embiggen, and she will take that to the face because she opts not to defend. It does look like she only has 2 cards in hand though, so that might have something to do with it. Here is a hop and an attack with one of those cards. That's living dangerously, but I think with the automatic hop, she has a little bit of an advantage here. Here's an I'm not touching you into a feint. Tahmid very correctly called that. So will take 2 damage, which is not ideal because he's getting quite low on health. He's only on 4, but it does mean Sunzida can't draw from the attack. So she will hop to the nearest battlefield item and sit there hoping to deter Tahmid. Tahmid instead moves into the corridor, it looks like, while he thinks about it, and uses the battlefield item to force everyone to discard 2 cards. There's a Urano Fries and an Embiggen discarded from Sunzida. And Tahmid will also have to discard 2 cards, but putting your opponent on 0 cards is almost always a fantastic thing to do. And Tahmid, being Bloody Mary, doesn't really mind either. So it looks like there's an ambush 3rd action card and a Infinity Mirror, and Tahmid is down to 5 cards. So the card advantage really did swing there. Ms. Marvel will hop and just sprint away to the other side of the map. Bloody Mary can still reach her if she wants to, I think. But will opt instead to double draw and then just sit tight. That is an interesting call because he knows that Sunzida's low on cards, but Sunzida just decides to run in and fight back anyway. So here is a hop. Here's a big wind up into a broken glass. She knows that Tahmid will likely boost that up and has the ability to punch over it. So we'll boost that with a Fangirl for 6 into 4 for 2 damage over. That does put Sunzida down to 1 card, but the health total is 9 to 2 at the moment. So she might just be trying to close out the game before Bloody Mary can use all of those cards to good effect. So here is a close and chip his. We haven't seen any 3rd action abilities trigger for Bloody Mary yet, so this might be the lead up to it. And what are the odds that the last card in Sunzida's hand is a feint? Would you have walked up to Bloody Mary without a feint in hand in this kind of situation? Well, it looks like we're about to find out anyway, because Tahmid plays Stolen Memories and sees the card is a slingshot. So Sunzida wasn't without defense, but I feel like it's quite important that she holds on to this right now. So she will take the 2 damage from the boost value of that card. We're down to 9 to 2. It was 11 to 2 earlier because Sunzida accidentally took the damage from broken glass. So it's a 7 value speed 3 times into a slingshot. Tahmid knew that was coming. Sunzida knew that was coming. We all knew that was coming. So it's now 5 to 2. Things are looking a lot closer. Tahmid's really pulled us back. However, Bloody Mary's strongest defense is probably her mirror image, and that won't work against a lot of Ms. Marvel's cards because they will increase in value due to their effects. We do, however, have our first Bloody Mary trigger. Tahmid has 3 cards in hand natively, and so we'll get 3 actions this turn. And Sunzida is just hoping that she has the right defenses in hand, I think. Here is a boost. So Tahmid reaches Sunzida with 2 actions to spare. Here's the first attack, of what I presume will be 2 attacks. And Sunzida is debating whether or not to defend, and it looks like she will not, and it's a broken glass. So that's probably a good call. Tahmid is able to bump that up by 1 to put Sunzida down to 1, and now we're at 2 health to 1. And so here is the feint that Sunzida held on to into and out of the mirror. Thankfully it wasn't a speed 3 times, otherwise Sunzida would be gone at this point. But she does cancel the ability, so there's no random discard and no after combat draw there. Really clutch play by Sunzida, waiting and holding onto that card so that she could feint the 3rd card in Tahmid's turn. So then Sunzida will take a couple of cards and hop back away, and let's see what Bloody Mary does. She also doesn't have a lot of cards in hand, so it's a bit of a mystery. Here's a boost from Sunzida, and she looks confident. She only has to do 2 damage, and a lot of her cards can hit pretty hard. Here's a big wind up into an Infinity Mirror, the biggest defense that Tahmid has printed, but Sunzida is able to boost. Does she have a 2 boost in hand? And she does, and it's the first shrink that we've seen all game. And there we are, Sunzida takes down Bloody Mary with 1 health left. That is a good game. Really well played from both players. That was such a tight game, especially with such a rough beginning for Bloody Mary, but Tahmid tenacious as he is, managed to pull it back and put a lot of pressure on Bloody Mary. Even though Ms. Marvel has a fair amount of card draw inbuilt and of course likes to keep a high hand count, Bloody Mary was so aggressive that she kept on pressuring and pressuring, and even managed to discard all of the cards in Sunzida's hand while still maintaining, I think, about 5 or 6 cards in hand for himself. So really impressive, really well played, and we couldn't really have asked for a closer game. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to support the channel, there is a QR link on the screen right now and a link in the description below. Thank you everyone for watching. See you next time.